Shortly after airing in 2003, a commercial for the Famicom Mini started getting attention for perhaps all the wrong reasons. Take a look for yourself and see if you can spot why. Eagle-eyed viewers noticed something a little creepy. Something that shouldn't have been in the commercial. Just behind singer Joshima Shigeru's chair, a pale woman's head enters the scene before quickly disappearing. The woman, deathly pale as a ghost, quickly caused an uproar. Who was she? Had the crew captured a ghost on film? How did the commercial make it all the way to the air without anybody noticing? An urban legend was born. As you can see for yourself, it's indeed creepy. No official explanation was ever given as to who or what the woman was, but it was her pale appearance that truly terrified people. Even supposing that the woman was a staff member who just happened to wander on set, why was she so white? She's as pale as a yurei torn from a horror movie, and she only appears for a few seconds before backing off. This was proof enough for many that the woman was just a staff member who, upon realizing she'd gotten on camera, quickly backed off. But even so, it's still scary. And it doesn't explain her ghostly color. Some have explained this away as bad lighting, in combination with the poor quality resolution the commercial was filmed in. Combined with compression when recorded from TV, and you end up with a woman who has a pretty lifeless complexion. The colours in the entire commercial are indeed somewhat washed out, so it's not too hard to imagine that someone standing outside in bright light might look a little odd. But even so, it still requires a little stretching of the imagination, and also doesn't explain how the woman seems to disappear for a moment at the 3-second mark, before reappearing in a different spot. There's no cut in the scene, and yet, if you look at the woman in the background, she seems to teleport for a moment. This has never been explained. Lending credence to the fact that the woman is likely someone who just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, is the man seen walking in the background. He's also rather pale, and appears to be walking in strong sunlight, and no effort is made to hide him either. It's possible the commercial was filmed on the side of the street, and they're regular people passing by. Or it's possible that both are staff members, and the commercial was filmed very quickly, with little quality control. Either way, there are obviously people walking around freely on the street outside, so it's likely the woman just wandered into camera without realizing it. It still doesn't explain her strange skin color or the fact she teleports for a moment, but that's what makes for a good mystery, isn't it? So what do you think? Stray ghost caught on set? Staff member they couldn't be bothered editing out? Or member of the public who was passing by at the wrong time? Let me know in the comments, but either way, it's still amazing that this woman made it all the way to the air without a single person noticing or caring that she was right there in the background. Huh. Pretty creepy if you ask me. In 2004, some Nichan users were discussing scary commercials from their youth when someone brought up an ad they couldn't quite remember well. All they could remember was that it was terrifying, and it featured 2 white figures on a dark background with a clanging noise playing in the back. The user seemed to think it was something to do with someone on Earth dying every 2 seconds, and as the noise played in the background, one of the figures would disappear. Then they would come back, flashing in and out every few seconds in time with the sound. It didn't take long until other posters were interested in this mysterious commercial, and before long, others popped out of the woodwork to remark that they too had seen it.
Although nobody could recall exactly what the commercial was for, numerous posters recalled watching it at school, meaning it wasn't an ad for TV, but rather part of teaching materials. It would seem that the strange ad did exist, and numerous people agreed on the details, but there was no proof of it. If this strange ad with the blinking figures was indeed part of nationwide school teaching materials, then chances were good that nobody would be able to dig it up again. One user shared a drawing of what they remembered the white figures looking like. It seemed to have been something shown in elementary schools, from what people remembered, but the drawing alone was enough to frighten them. Why would such a terrifying commercial be shown to elementary school children? Who made it? And for what purpose? Another user put together a reproduction of the video, showing two white figures flashing in and out on a set of train tracks with a clanging noise in the background. Everyone agreed that, yes, this was it. The video they had seen in school was just like that one. But just like that, the conversation died. Nobody seemed to know what the commercial was about, who made it, or why. 1 year later, someone once again shared the reproduction video, this time titling it, "The Mysterious White People." The strange commercial hadn't been forgotten, but nor had anyone come forward with further information either. Then, in 2006, another year after that, a user posted that they had heard the White People video was actually from AC, the Advertising Council Japan, a non-profit organization that distributes public service announcements from all sorts of organizations, particularly to schools. The ad was supposedly part of a campaign from Japan Rail to warn children of the danger of railway crossings. This would fit with so many people claiming they had seen it at school, and would also explain why it was so scary to boot. But was it really from AC? Another year after that, the commercial was brought up in yet another thread about scary commercials. Some users had never heard of it and wanted to know more, and it was here that even more conflicting information came to light. One poster remembered seeing it roughly 10 years earlier, in 1997, and recalled that the commercial was about 15 seconds long, and it included narration. That narration spoke of the importance of treasuring one's life, and how nobody lives forever. This person, however, recalled seeing the commercial with the white figures on late-night television. This wouldn't be the first strange commercial to air on late-night Japanese TV, but this information conflicted with earlier reports that it was a commercial shown in schools. So then, who was telling the truth? Another poster chimed in that it was actually a government ad that aired sometime between the late 80s and early 90s. It only aired on some local stations in the countryside, late at night. It was never shown in any of the big cities, such as Tokyo, Osaka, or Nagoya. The ad supposedly represented how every few seconds a child died, and yet every few seconds another child was born. But still, so many people found it creepy, unsettling, or just plain terrifying that it was pulled off the air. Because of this, few people had seen it, and it was received so badly that the same company never made any commercials again after that. Some users went digging and refuted claims that the Advertising Council was behind it. There was no record of it at all on their homepage, and more people came out claiming they had indeed seen it on TV, not at school. Yet some claimed to have seen it in the early 80s, while others claimed they saw it in the mid to late 90s. It seemed everyone agreed that The commercial existed, but nobody could agree on when it was made, who made it, or what it was even about. In the end, this mysterious commercial with the white shadow people took on almost mythical status, becoming an urban legend in its own right. Multitudes of people claimed to have seen it, but nobody could find a real copy of it. The terrifying reproduction floating around the internet over a decade after it was made only helped solidify its creepy urban legend status. But nobody has ever found the real ad, and to this day, nobody knows if it's even real or not. In the end, this mysterious commercial might be the work of numerous trolls jumping into a discussion that then grew over the years. It might be a real commercial that got lost to the annals of time. Or perhaps it might be a mass shared delusion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.
Omoikkiri Dong was a variety news program that aired weekdays from March 2009 until March 2010. It ran for an hour in the mornings and featured a variety of Japanese talents and presenters discussing the news for that day. Due to its time slot, the show's target audience was housewives and other stay-at-home people. An incident in August 2009, however, made it the talk of the internet. On August 6th, 2009, something terrifying happened as the show cut to its ending. This is how it looked on digital.
この放送はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りしました。
And this is how it appeared on analog TVs. Nichan users flocked to the internet to share their thoughts on the incident afterwards. One poster described it as like the croaking from Juong. Another thought their TV had broken. And yet another poster pointed out that the presenters looked like they were burning in radiation, before reminding people of the date. August 6th, the same day the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. One poster, who watched the show live on an analog TV, mentioned how terrified they were when the screen seemed to suddenly short out, like an evil spirit had possessed it. Then they noticed what looked like a red kanji character in the corner of the screen, as the sound continued to buzz painfully. That character looked scarily like the kanji for shi, or death. This character isn't visible in the digital version of the ending, but by comparing the two, you can see where it comes from. The studio lights surrounding a large red pole to the left of the screen, once distorted, somewhat resemble the character for death. Was it a warning? Or simply people seeing things where nothing existed? Some posters speculated that it may have been a prophecy, warning that one of the presenters was about to meet a grisly end. But to this day, all of them remain alive, safe and well. But perhaps it wasn't for the presenters. One poster claimed that a friend of theirs who watched the program that morning went to the convenience store after to grab something to eat and was involved in a car accident. The accident killed them instantly. Of course, this is Nichan, so whether you believe that particular story is up to you. Another poster who watched the program live thought that they alone had been cursed, and they were shocked to discover that the apparently cursed images had been seen nationwide. People were scared, unsettled, and confused, but mostly, they had no idea what was going on. Over in the digital version of the ending, you can see the entire screen freeze except for two of the presenters, who seem to move freely of their own accord. Only these two members keep moving, despite the other presenters next to and even behind them remaining frozen, while a weird sound stutters in the background. Viewers found this just as terrifying, if not more so, than the analog version, simply because it was so unnatural. Why were these two presenters stuck in what looks like a GIF loop, while everyone else was frozen in a still image? So what happened? What was really going on? Were the presenters cursed? Did an evil spirit get into the wiring? It was, at least according to Nippon TV, the broadcasting channel, something far more mundane. They laid the blame with Yomiuri TV, the creators of the program that was supposed to air directly after. Normally, Omoikkiri Dong aired a preview for the show following it directly after it ended, but on this particular day, something went wrong with the cables and the preview didn't air, instead causing what we saw earlier to happen. A fairly benign technical error, but one that resulted in something terrifying for those watching at the time. But was that really the truth? Some Nichan users didn't think so. To dive even further down the rabbit hole, one poster claimed that Seki Akio, also known as Mr. Toshidensetsu, or Mr. Urban Legend, wrote in one of his books that before a man-made disaster was to occur, people working at television stations were told to create noise on the screen, much like we saw here. This served as a warning to all who knew the signs, and to let them know to prepare themselves for what was coming. Shizuoka was struck by a large earthquake only a few short days later, but you'll probably have to dive even further down the rabbit hole if you want to explain that one as being man-made. This was also around the same time that the H1N1 virus was beginning to pick up strength, so there are all sorts of conspiracy theories you can connect it to, if you try hard enough. It's still a little difficult to explain away some of the strangeness of both the digital and analog endings, although there's little doubt that in the end it was just a technical error. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. A morning news program named Zoom In Asa ran from 1979 to 2001, until it was replaced with Zoom In Super. Shortly after the program went off the air, there was a particular legend spread on the Nichan forums that was especially popular, a legend that's still spoken about to this day. According to this legend, one day when a weather lady was reporting on the weather live from Ohori Park in Fukuoka Prefecture, something happened to float by in the background. That something turned out to be a dead body. The weather lady noticed the body and screamed, and the camera focused on it just long enough for everyone to realize what it was, before the feed cut to black. This scene was reportedly uploaded to the internet, but it was swiftly removed and has now become one of the phantom videos of the internet. Now, if you're like me, the mention of something being uploaded to the internet before being taken down and lost forever should set alarm bells ringing. Very little is ever lost from the internet once it's been uploaded, and it's not hard to imagine that people would instantly save a video as controversial as this. Not to mention the people who would have had to have seen this live, because Zoom In was an incredibly popular morning news show. Yet, it's a legend mostly only spoken of in the dark corners of Nichan. This type of story, if true, would have been national news. So, what gives? As it turns out, people really may have remembered seeing something like this on television. Only, their memories may have been slightly off. While people claim to remember seeing a dead body on Zoom In, the morning news show, in 1988 there was also a Tuesday night drama by the name of Zoom In Asa, Satsujin Jiken. Satsujin Jiken translates to murder case, so it's possible that the scene people were remembering wasn't from the real morning news, but rather from this drama with the same name instead. While this is likely the best explanation for the legend, it's also important to note that, to date, no one has been able to dig up anything from the show. The drama aired in 1988, a time before the internet was widespread in households, and it seems few people recorded it because we can find almost nothing on the internet about it now. But the details of the legend are almost too concrete to have come from nothing. People even remember it all the way down to the specific park this dead body was supposedly seen in. If the legend came from anywhere in particular, this zoom-in drama based around a murder case is probably the best bet, and not the actual news show. This legend has been around since at least 2002, which is the earliest anyone's found mention of it on Nichan. In a thread titled "Stories That Caused a Panic on TV and Radio," a user posted that a dead body was seen floating in the water on Zoom In. This was immediately followed by replies of other users claiming they had seen the same thing as well, and before long, it even made it to the Zoom In Wikipedia page. The page reported that a weather lady in Fukuoka had screamed upon seeing a dead body live on TV, and for a moment, the camera even zoomed in on it, before it was cut. This lasted all the way until 2009, when someone finally questioned the veracity of the claims, and the information was removed. Yet the damage was done. The information had been up for years before anyone thought to question it and take it down. And as I mentioned earlier, to date, no one has been able to produce any video evidence of this dead body floating by. So, while the story lives on, it's firmly entrenched as an otherwise unproven legend. If it did happen, it was most likely someone misremembering a drama they saw, and nothing more. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. On September 5th, 2016, a blog user posted the following. Over 10 years ago on Nichan, someone posted a fake link to an adult video that was in reality a terrifying clip instead. It was like a cursed video, all cut up and repeating, and nothing made sense. The quality was, of course, terrible. I only vaguely remember it, but it went something like this. There was a woman on the screen, her face warped. Then it cut to a shrine somewhere. Then there was a naked girl in a room in a cardboard box, and someone was standing next to her with a knife. A scene of the girl falling out of the box repeated over and over. Then the first woman's face suddenly reappeared again. It was scary. It was something like that. I wanted to see it again, so I've been looking for it, but I can't find it anywhere. I've asked about it numerous times on the occult forums and in horror threads, but nobody else has seen it. The only thing I've been able to find while searching the internet is the following thread. It's a little different to what I remember, and of course the link is dead. Is there anyone who's seen it? If you've been watching this internet mystery series for a while now, then lost videos on Nichan isn't that uncommon. People often bring up videos they saw as a kid that they can no longer find, although this one was a little different because the user actually saw the video on Nichan, not on TV or anywhere else. They were able to remember bits and pieces of it, but they weren't sure exactly, and they were having trouble digging up any real information, let alone finding the video in question. They did, however, dig up one particular post that may or may not have been what they were after, but the link to the video was long dead. That post was made on August 24th, 2005. An interesting side note, by the way, this was literally the day before I arrived in Japan. For me especially, that helps put into perspective how long ago this was posted, and why it's so difficult to find the video today. As you can see by the post, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. A rough and literal translation would be a portrait of a deceased pale girl, For some reason, unknown characters appear in her eyes, a portent of death, a burnt man with an abnormal desire, kidnapping, confinement, fatality. Your friend went too. Her eyes downcast, a creepy wall hanging on the wall behind her. Eyes? The portrait of the deceased pale girl, the aura of ice. Climbing the temple to the rear, taking a photo of the deceased pale girl at the temple. What is the incomprehensible code beneath the screen? A horrible warped hand reaches for the girl in the room. The horribly warped hand. How did it change shape? The terribly deformed hand. Towards the cardboard, the crying girl, the portrait of the deceased. Her line of sight blankly lingers. The after image, the line of sight, the portrait of the deceased. Help me, help me, help. Aspects of this seem to be the same as what the blog user posted, and it could have been what they were after. But being that the link was shared on Nichan over a decade earlier, it was naturally dead, and so there was no way to check. Another user in the thread, however, described the video as a white wall, followed by a picture of a creepy woman. The scene distorts, a man hiding his face, a man facing a computer, a Japanese-style room, a naked woman in a cardboard box. This repeats 2 or 3 times for about a minute. This video continued to pop up in numerous Nichan threads in the months following, usually with people asking someone else to watch and describe it for them, because they were either too scared or because they were trolling and wanted others to watch something creepy. The video naturally gained a reputation as cursed, and as soon as people saw the link, many jumped in to warn others not to watch it unless they were prepared for what they were about to see. It seems likely this was the same video the blog user was looking for, but one problem remained. To this day, no one has been able to recover the lost file. There is one video that came up during my research that a Japanese user found and had to be downloaded using the Wayback Machine. And while it shares a few similar scenes, it's hard to say it's the same video. It entirely lacks the man mentioned, and while there appears to be a girl in a box, she's certainly not naked. At any rate, you can watch it now and judge for yourself. And if watching cursed videos isn't your thing, then look away now, because here it is. I don't believe that this is the video that became popular in 2005. It was potentially inspired by it, or maybe it had nothing to do with it at all. But either way, I think this video is something different. So where does that leave us? At the very least, the video did exist. There's more than enough proof around the place in various threads from various people stating the exact same thing that tells us it was real. The problem is that no one has been able to find it since. Is it still out there, lurking on someone's computer? Undoubtedly. But finding that person and getting them to upload it again is the problem. Hopefully someone does, because I'd sure love to see the video that caused so much fuss. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. On October 19th, 2015, a Nico Nico user posted on his blog that he was trying to track down an old video he'd seen on TV. He'd already tried his luck over at Yahoo Answers, but nobody was able to help. He was able to remember quite a few specific details of the video, but was still struggling to find out what it was. The animation style was even older than Gegege no Kitaro, and it was a yokai piece. The background was dark, and it was the inside of a typical Edo-style house. A man wearing a blue kimono with a top-knot hairstyle was working on the right side of the screen. Then an Oni Baba burst through the wooden doors on the left side, the back door, and the man threw both his arms up in surprise. The scene ended with the man's surprised face and screams. He went on to say he thought it aired around 2000 to 2004 in the Kanto area, sometime around 10 to 11 p.m, and was only 5 to 10 seconds long. He wasn't paying much attention to the TV at the time, and it came and went so quickly that he didn't know if it was a commercial, a late-night eye catch, or part of a TV program. He saw it with his brother, so it wasn't a dream or hallucination, but for the life of him, he couldn't track it down. This video aired around the time he started junior high school. He used to spend time with his older brother playing video games late into the night, but his brother had since passed away, meaning he was now the only person left who remembered seeing it. He was desperate to find out the truth before he died as well. The video had left him so terrified at the time that he was unable to sleep, and he never spoke to anyone else of it, and nearly 2 decades later, it was still on his mind. As mentioned earlier, he had asked about this video on Yahoo Answers, but gotten no help. He was hesitant to post about it on the Nichan occult boards because he feared the story would turn into an urban legend, much like the White Shadows commercial that we've featured in one of our internet mystery videos before. The user appeared to be desperately earnest in his attempts to track this video down. By all accounts, he simply wanted to know what it was, and wasn't trying to create the next internet urban legend. He even presented several options himself for what the video might have been. 1. A late-night video. Japanese channels often aired weird and nonsensical videos late at night, when there were few viewers and thus no advertisers to appease. Numerous experimental shorts were aired between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. during the early 2000s, but the user felt this time was too late. He was sure he'd seen the video much earlier, around 10 to 11 p.m. Another possibility was a broadcasting mistake. The early 2000s also saw numerous videos aired by mistake, live shows that suddenly went on or off the air without warning, and so on. Maybe the video was a rejected eye catch, or a late night video that was aired earlier by mistake. This was a possibility, but the user felt that it was unlikely. To him, the video felt deliberate, not mistakenly aired and then quickly cut off. There was also the possibility that the video was an eye catch. These short animations generally aired before or after programs outside of the golden time during the late 1990s and early 2000s. They were designed to be weird and eye-catching, to draw viewers in to watch the real program. Yet, these eye catches have been well documented over the years, and he was unable to find anything. The final possibility was that the video was actually a scene from the video game he and his older brother were playing at the time. As he mentioned earlier, this was around the time that they often stayed up late playing games, yet he could think of no game that even vaguely resembled the scene, so he thought it to be unlikely. The user had, for the most part, covered all his bases. It seemed to be a true mystery. He was certain he had seen it, and remembered a lot of details from it, but in all those years he was never able to dig up what the video might have been. Did it even exist, or was he remembering everything all wrong? He certainly gave enough details to start looking. It was short, about 10 seconds max, and featured an old-style Edo house with a man in a blue kimono and topknot, and a yokai bursting through the doors. It ended almost as quickly as it began, with the man screaming and running off. That was it. But what was it? It wasn't until just a few months ago that a breakthrough was made, and as it turned out, this Nico Nico blogger wasn't the only person looking for this video. In a 2012 Nichan thread titled "Searching for Unaired and Mysterious Commercials," a user posted the following. In the early 2000s, I saw a creepy commercial that had a yokai attack a house. It aired around 2001 to 2003, I think. I was really into Densha de Go 3 at the time. It looked like an anime, and this yokai suddenly attacked an old-style Japanese house. A yokai attacking a house. Sounds familiar. Another user agreed. I think I've seen that one. The doors shake, and there's someone inside the house who looks worried. Then the yokai bursts through and the person inside turns around to run away. It turns out that the person was actually Hitotsume Kozo, right? A year later, another user replied to another mystery commercial thread with the following. I'm looking for a commercial I saw about 15, 16 years ago. It was drawn like Shigeru Mizuki style, and the background was black. On the right-hand side, there was an old Japanese-style house, and on the left, a person wearing a kimono appeared. The doors suddenly shook, and a yokai burst through. I haven't been able to find it. Does anyone know anything? This one should sound very familiar. It's almost word for word what the Nico Nico blog user shared 2 years later. Chances are good that the very same person posted this on Nichan, and when they got no help, took to their own blog later to get more. It's important to note that these commercial threads aren't posted on the occult boards, so the user likely felt less hesitant about posting it there. In 2014, someone posted that they were looking for the O Kamuro version of the 2000 NTT Goo commercial. This was a collection of commercials that aired in 2000, promoting the NTT Goo search engine. The O Kamuro version, as it turned out, featured an old Edo-style house, with a yokai bursting through the doors and frightening a young man inside, who ran off screaming. Where have we heard this before? Yet at this point, the only evidence that this commercial existed was a note on NTT Goo's website and a few black and white screen caps. Nobody had video of it, so it was impossible to tell if this was the same commercial that everyone was looking for, including the blog user. It wasn't until April 6th, 2020, that someone uploaded a compilation of commercials they had found on VHS. One of them happened to be the long sought-after NTT Goo ad.
最初はグー。無限の不思議への扉。グー。グーねジェピー。グーねジェピー。
As you can see, this is near beat for beat what the Nico Nico blog user described. The only real difference is that there's no man with a top knot in the commercial, but rather a young boy in a vest. Considering how long ago this commercial aired, and the fact that the man wasn't paying attention at the time, this can likely be chalked up to him misremembering the exact details. Nichan had also been searching for this same commercial for close to 8 years. Just like the White Shadow Figures commercial, numerous people over the years claimed to have seen it, even though their versions differed slightly. But unlike the White Shadow Figures, this one was proven to be true. It existed. It had just taken an extraordinarily long time to find it again. This information was shared with the blog user recently, but he stopped posting on his blog in 2017, so nobody is quite sure whether he's seen it or not. Either way, it seemed that this mystery was solved, not only for him, but for the numerous Nichan users who had been looking for it over the years as well. Will the White Shadow Figures commercial ever show up? Who knows, but The NTT Goo Yokai commercial is a good reminder that things aren't always exactly as we remember them. But that doesn't mean that we're wrong about what we saw either. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. In 2016, a YouTube user posted a video of their car dashcam on their channel. I'll leave a link in the comments so you can watch the full thing for yourself, but the video, 2 minutes long, shows a night drive through some suburbs before heading further out into a lonely, mostly empty road. There's a single car up ahead, and the driver and their friend occasionally pass others, so it's not like they were entirely alone out there. But around the minute mark, the car up ahead brakes and swerves into the other lane briefly. As the driver continues, you can see what looks like a person bent over, standing on the edge of the road. And just like that, they're gone. What had the drivers just encountered? The timestamp on the dashcam marks this as happening on April 17th, 2016, the day before it was uploaded, at 8:01 p.m. The coordinates in the right-hand side mark the location as Ishioka City, Ibaraki Prefecture. This is a road called the Fruits Line, and by heading into Google Maps, we can see it's the same road. It's surrounded pretty much entirely by rice fields and old houses, with a bit of forest here and there. Not too creepy in the daytime, but without lights at night, that certainly changes. From the map, we can see that there are houses nearby, meaning that people do live out there. It's not so odd to think that these people might be out and about at night, even without streetlights, and crossing the road. Dangerous, yes, but not out of the realm of possibility. But what scared people with this particular footage was the fact that it looked like an old, potentially headless woman in a kimono, bent over with her hands in prayer. Seeing this anywhere would be unsettling, but on a dark road at night, with no lights around, it would certainly scare me. And she didn't seem bothered by the cars that nearly hit her either. Just what was going on? Of course, one explanation is that she might have been a ghost. A white kimono is most often associated with ghosts, for sure. And the way she casually strolls out onto the road and doesn't care for either car would suggest someone who doesn't care one iota about getting hit. Because, hey, if you're a ghost, why would you care? You also don't ever really see the woman's head. If it even is a woman, it's hard to tell. And well, a living person walking down the road without a head is a little hard to believe. So hey, gotta be a ghost, right? Ghosts tend to repeat the same behavior they carried out before they died. So perhaps this old woman was hit by a car on this very spot, and now haunts it in death. If you look closely as the car passes by, she even seems to be see-through for a moment. Of course, this can be explained away by the speed of the car and the low resolution of the footage blurring things, but it's eerie either way. A more logical explanation is that it's just an old lady, or perhaps even an old man. We can't see their head because they're very clearly bent over, and this type of posture isn't uncommon for elderly farmers in Japan. Perhaps this person isn't bent over in prayer, but rather bent over permanently from years of hard work and malnutrition. The problem here is, why is an old woman on the road late at night in a white kimono? There are basically no streetlights out there, and where this person is, there are absolutely none. How did she get there? There's a guardrail on the side of the road. From Google Maps, we can see that there aren't any real good places to jump over on either side of the road, and this becomes infinitely harder if you have the poor posture of an elderly farmer. But either way, where is this person going? We can look at the exact spot this person was standing on, in daylight, on Google Maps. There's not much around but farms, weeds, and some houses in the distance. We have to presume this person lives in one of them, but what are they doing so far from home at this time of night? There's no doubt a very simple reason for it, like they forgot something, or they were popping out to visit a neighbour, or even to check something on the farm, but either way, it's still odd and scary. Another option, and this is suggested by one of the people in the car, is that this person might have been trying to kill themselves. You can hear someone say, "Bikkuri shita," an exclamation of surprise, before the other person says, "Jisatsu janai no?" That person was trying to kill themselves, right? Although far from common, you've no doubt heard stories of people jumping in front of trains in Japan to end their lives, and this is occasionally, although much more rarely, done with cars as well. This would make sense with the location, a dark road in the middle of nowhere, and why this person would be out there so late at night on a road that has no walking space. Of course, even this explanation has problems. It requires this person to wait until a car passes. Although we can see the road isn't entirely empty, but it still doesn't explain the kimono. This really isn't regular wear for being so far away from home at night, whatever the reason. But this person does appear to not care about the proximity of the cars, and even continues walking into them once the first car swerves. So it's possible. Yet another explanation could be that this old person wandering around on the road late at night might be senile. Again, it's not like seniors roam the night roads in droves once they escape the confines of their family homes, although many urban legends would have you believe otherwise, but it does happen. The majority of the elderly still live with their families, not in homes, even when they have Alzheimer's or dementia. It's possible this elderly woman had dementia and slipped out of her house without her family realizing. She then ended up on the road a fair distance from her home while still in her kimono, and her family had yet to find her. The simplest answer is often the correct one. There are numerous possibilities here, and considering that the driver never went back to check, we'll likely never know who that woman was and what she was doing on the side of the road that night. She might have been an old woman heading home from checking her farm, but that seems unlikely in the dark. She might have been an old woman with dementia who escaped from her house. Or maybe she was looking to end her life by jumping in front of a car. Or who knows, maybe she really was a ghost. I personally don't believe in ghosts, but I'll never begrudge someone else that possibility either. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. On June 9th, 2010, someone shared a link to a YouTube video in a thread on Ni Channel. That link led to a creepy video of a Russian number station. Number stations are a fascinating topic with far too much depth for me to cover here, so I recommend having a look around Google if you haven't already. But in short, they are shortwave radio stations that broadcast numbers. One theory behind these strange stations is that they're used by intelligence officers in foreign countries to report back home. But I highly recommend doing some digging yourself if the topic interests you. At any rate, a few replies later, comment 37 in the thread, someone posted another video, claiming this one was far scarier. It was a link to the Persephone Numbers station, which, spoiler alert, we now know was a part of The Lost Experience, an alternate reality game that took place between seasons 2 and 3 of the TV show Lost. I'll leave a link to both videos in the comments if you haven't already seen them. And yeah, they're creepy, but that's not the point of this mystery. Things were about to get even stranger. As users discussed whether the videos were scary or not, and which one was actually scarier, one particular user chimed in that he didn't understand what was supposed to be scary about either of them. But then again, I am stupid, he said. For purposes of this video, I'll call him G-san, because his user ID started with the letter G. Another user claimed that, yeah, the first video wasn't very scary, but those who didn't find the second one terrifying were likely the types who wouldn't even get scared if a dead body suddenly moved. A roundabout way of saying, yeah, this video is pretty damn scary. You've got to be something else to not think so. And this is where the thread took a turn for the strange. Ji-san then replied with a rather odd comment. Well, I'd be scared as hell if a dead body moved, but this video of a naked woman writhing around is enough to pop a boner, sure, but not goosebumps. Eh? A naked woman? Someone else replied. Huh? We're talking about the video from 37, right? The video from 37, of course, was the Persephone numbers station. It's a glitchy woman with numbers and strange screeching sound effects in the background. There's certainly no naked woman in it, yet that's what Ji-san claimed to see. You're scarier than either of those videos, someone replied, and it was at this point that Ji-san realized that perhaps he was not seeing the same video as everyone else. Hang on. The video from 37 is a naked woman writhing around, right? What you're all saying is strange and it's making me scared. This started a brief back and forth with other users in the thread telling Ji-san to quit it and informing him that he was the only person seeing this mystery naked woman. Everyone else just saw the numbers station. But she comes and goes every 20 seconds. The only time you see her naked is when she's approaching, though. Wait, am I really that stupid? Are you guys messing with me? Seriously? Ji-san was insistent that he was seeing a naked woman coming and going from the video, and suspected that it was everyone else screwing with him, and not the other way around. Other users asked him to take a screenshot of this naked woman, for scientific purposes, no doubt, and several suggested that he should go visit the hospital or a shrine instead. If you look at the video of the Persephone numbers station, it's indeed hard to tell whether the woman is wearing clothes or not. You can only really see her from the neck up, and it's black and white, so it's hard to tell if she's wearing anything. But regardless, the woman doesn't move, and she's most certainly not seen naked on screen. The user posted a screenshot of what they were seeing, but unfortunately for us, the link is now dead, and I was unable to find a copy of it anywhere. It seems none of the Ni-channel copy and paste sites were able to save a copy before it disappeared from the internet either, but judging by the reactions, it was just a regular screenshot of the same video everyone else was seeing. Hang on. Where exactly is this naked woman I'm supposed to be seeing? One person replied. She's not walking away, replied another. Ji-san freaked out, claiming that he had no ability to sense the supernatural, nor did he even believe in ghosts or anything like that. So then, why was he seeing something completely different to everyone else? I have to go to work now, he replied again. But I want you to tell me one last thing. Are you all being serious right now? Or have I gotten caught up in everyone getting carried away over something? If you're serious, then I'm gonna visit the hospital on my way back home today. You should visit the brain surgeon or psychiatric ward, one person replied. I can only see a woman from the head up who moves at fixed intervals. I swear to God, said another. Ji-san then posted his final comment in the thread. Thanks. I'm gonna go to the hospital. This particular thread has become a bit of a Ni-channel legend over the years, although it seems the original thread has been lost to the ages, and only copy-pastes remain. It was never solved, and Ji-san never appeared again. There are several possibilities for what really happened. One is that he was telling the truth, and for some reason, he was seeing a completely different video to everyone else. This is obviously hard to take at face value. Why would one person, and one person alone, see a completely different video to everyone else? Even the screenshot he shared was apparently the normal woman from the video that everyone else could see, meaning that he alone saw something strange in the screenshot as well. How could this be possible? The man did say he was going to visit the hospital and have his head checked out. Who knows? This seems like the least likely answer, but who are we to say what that man really did or didn't see? Another possibility is that he somehow ended up on a different video. But this also seems hard to believe because he posted a screenshot that was apparently from the same video that everyone else was watching, even though we sadly no longer have that image anymore. If he truly was watching a different video, then it seems like the screenshot he posted would have been from that, rather than the Persephone numbers station. A third possibility, and the one I think is most likely, is that the man was simply trolling everyone himself. It is Ni Channel after all, and that's what people love to do over there. A few users posted creepy videos, people were discussing whether they were scary or not, and then Ji-san used that opportunity to create an interactive creepypasta of his own, claiming to see something that nobody else could see. It certainly wouldn't be the first time someone used Ni Channel in this manner, and undoubtedly not the last either. And it worked, because people still share the highlights of that thread even today. But what do you guys think? Did Ji-san really see something entirely different to the numbers station video that was linked? Was he just trolling everyone for fun? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. Back in 2009, a certain video started doing the rounds through the Japanese occult internet. Known these days as the woman in the black dress caught on cell phone, it featured a young woman filming her new apartment. But as she panned past the door, a woman in a black dress stood there frozen on the spot. When the woman panned back again a moment later, the woman was gone, seemingly vanished into thin air. A comment in a Ni Channel thread called Trauma Grade Fear was posted on March 12, 2009, referencing this same video, indicating it was already well known by that point. I'm looking for this video I saw on a site once. I think it was about 30 seconds long, and the girl filming on her phone was showing off her house. She went past the hall, and at first nobody was there. But then, when she went back to it after filming the bathroom or something, there was a creepy woman in a black dress standing there, and the woman filming screamed in a panic. After her scream and then scared laugh, she calls out her friend's name and the video ends there. Someone replied with a link. Do you mean this one? That link has now been made private, but the video itself has been re-uploaded to various places around the internet, with the earliest I can find being on Nico Video from January 12, 2009. This appears to be a mirror of the original YouTube video, and the description states, "This is a cell phone movie sent to me by my niece, who moved to another prefecture for work. Her friend's younger sister, so many connections, haha, filmed this in the house she was renting when something suddenly appeared. It's a phone video, so it's kinda hard to see, but there's definitely a woman standing there in a black dress. It's seriously scary. I don't think it's fake at all. But I don't know what category to put it in, so I've put it under entertainment. But it's definitely real." Chances are you've already seen this video elsewhere before, but just in case, let's check out what all the fuss is about.
これ地下の家よ。お風呂みたいな。トイレ。
As you can see, the video comes from a 2009 cell phone, so the quality is atrocious. But there's very clearly a woman in a black dress standing at the end of the hall, and then, when the woman filming skips back, she's suddenly gone. Did she actually manage to capture a ghost on film? You can no doubt guess that my answer is not likely, but let's take a closer look. By pausing the video, we can see that the hall ends with a curtain and what appears to be a window or a sliding door. In either case, it's closed, so there's no possible way the woman disappeared through there. However, we can also see a door directly to our left, or the woman in black's right. At the very start of the video, the woman pans past the hall and there's seemingly nothing there. She shows off the laundry, toilet, and when she goes back to the hall, the woman in black is there. She screams, the camera shakes, and then when she focuses on the hall again, the woman is gone. The clip ends with her moving towards the door before turning around and then it stops. The low quality makes it hard to tell, but right at the start, when the woman pans past the hall, while it appears empty, we can already see a shadow at the top of the screen. The sunlight is harsh and reflects off the wooden floor, but we can see what appears to be a figure there already. Was the woman already standing there, or was it reflecting something else? The only thing in the hall, which we can see later, is a few pieces of something against the wall. Maybe a vacuum or some cushions. It's hard to tell. Either way, this thing on the floor is unlikely to make the shadow that we can see. When the woman finally appears around the 13-second mark, we can see the shadow that she makes is almost exactly the same as at the start, only she's closer now. Then, as the camera pans up, we get the woman in black in her full glory. The camera swings to the right, then to the left, then back to the brightly lit hall again. By this point, the woman is gone. The camera again pans right before briefly heading towards the open door on the left. The woman doesn't go in the door, however, and turns to run away when the clip ends. What really happened here? The most likely explanation is that the woman in black was already waiting at the very end of the hall as the person filming, likely her friend, did a quick tour of the house. When she filmed the laundry and toilet, she moved forward out of the harsh light, allowing herself to be captured. And then, as her friend screamed and swung wildly away, she ducked into the door immediately on her left. We can see her standing before whatever is on the ground, so she's literally right next to the door. The swing of the camera and the time it takes to adjust the brightness easily gives her enough time to simply step to her right and disappear. And the camera woman never goes into the room either. In fact, as she gets close to it, she turns heel and exits instead. Interestingly, people have linked this particular video to another more famous one that came before it, making it possible that this particular clip was an attempt to recreate that same scary scene. Called Creepy Woman, it first appeared in the Honto ni Atta Noroi no video series in August 2007. That same video was then aired on TBS on January 13th, 2009, a year and a half later. I'll leave a link in the comments if you want to watch that particular part for yourself, but as you can see, the reveal is pretty darn similar. Was it inspired by this particular video that came years before it? It's hard to deny the similarities. Even with the low quality video, which only helps, not hinders, when making ghost videos, we can see that it's very humanly possible to capture what she got on film. It's still a great attempt though, and there's no denying that it still took some skill and a little help from the bright backlighting to make it all look as creepy as it does. Was a real ghost captured on film? Not likely, but that still doesn't take away from how creepy it is to begin with. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. Back in the early 1990s, a certain legend sprang to life thanks to the TV show Waratte Itomo. a viewer sent in an apparently cursed CD with a message that stated, "Please listen to this CDs of B's album Risky." At first it really is B's, I think. But now, every time I listen to it, it seems to change. The volume changes by itself, and sometimes the CD player turns itself off. Something strange always happens when I listen to it. This might be a massive discovery, but I'll give the CD to you guys instead. The album in question was released on November 7th, 1990, 3 years before it was sent into the show. Of course, the host Tamori decided to play the CD on his show to check the veracity of the viewer's claims, and you can see that, yes, the CD he puts in is indeed the B's Risky album. And that's where the weirdness starts. You can still find this clip on the internet, so I'll play a bit of it here so you can see for yourself.
もうこのコーナーやめようよ。何これ。おいおい、これをあげるってうちらに。いや、これ。
The song that plays very much isn't a B's song, and as you saw, the reaction was chilling to what sounded like a ghostly voice coming out of the player at varying volumes. Was the CD actually cursed? How was it possible for an entirely different song to come from the B's album? And what about the rumours of it apparently changing each time people listen to it? It has taken a while, and the internet has done a lot of digging to solve some of these problems, but many still remain unsolved to this day, so let's take a look. First of all, there's no denying that the CD that Tamori puts into the CD player is the B's album Risky. He compares it to the actual album, and you can see for yourself that it's the same thing. Back in the early 1990s, it was near impossible for someone to replicate an officially pressed CD without some very, very expensive equipment, and these types of CDs couldn't be recorded over either. At the very least, what they had was a genuine product, but the problem remains of how the strange song got on there in the first place, and whether it really did change with each listen or not. Which brings us to the next point. What song was it that had apparently been recorded on this CD instead of the B's album? Well, listeners did some digging and discovered that it was actually the album Niji Umu by Haino Keiji. Interestingly, this album was released only 2 weeks before the B's album. You can listen to this album on YouTube for yourself. I'll include a link in the comments, but you can hear it's certainly unique and rather creepy. If you were expecting B's and got this instead, it's easy to see how you might think the CD was cursed. The volume also raises and lowers a lot, and there are periods of silence, so this all fits with what the original viewer claimed. In the early 2000s, Ni-channel users once again dug this old legend up and debated what it could have really been, and you can still find talk of it today, several decades later. Of the two things that are certain is that the CD physically looks like the B's Risky album, while the sound that comes out of it is the Niji Umu album. The claims of it sounding different each time it was played were never confirmed, and it was played on the same show again at a later date. It's possible the original owner of the CD was simply hearing different tracks on the CD when they thought they were listening to something else, or that they just made that part up to make it sound even creepier. We may never know. The one big remaining question that still hasn't been answered to this day, however, is how the CD came to be in the first place. The most likely answer is some type of manufacturing accident, considering how closely both CDs were printed and released. But even then, it seems a little odd that only one single CD was ever discovered with this defect. Could the original owner have created it themselves? Of course, it's possible, but considering how expensive and difficult it would have been at the time, it's also unlikely. So what happened here? To this day, nobody knows. People are still debating what might have happened to cause this one CD to play an entirely different album, and whether it might actually have been cursed or not. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. Have you ever seen this video before? It's fairly famous on the Japanese internet, and shows a recording of the show Tunnels no Minasan no Okage deshita. There was a bit of fuss on the internet after it aired because, as you can see, the footage appeared to capture a ghost hiding in the right part of the screen behind a refrigerator. This episode aired on November 25th, 2017, and the footage in question was uploaded quickly to the internet and shared all over Twitter. It caused such a fuss that a media outlet from Taiwan even picked up on it, sharing the video on their Twitter account with over 1 million followers. For the segment in question, the show visited comedian Kintaro's house to quickly whip up a meal with ingredients she already had on hand. As they approach the kitchen, a figure can be seen behind the fridge that looks like a ghost, yet nobody reacted, leading some to wonder if those on set couldn't actually see it. The internet spent several days trying to explain the strange sighting. Ghost or not, there was very clearly someone, or something, captured on film who shouldn't have been there. If you pause the footage, the face is very clearly pale, with long hair and big eyes. Fairly standard ghost fare. Was it a family member? This was, of course, a good possibility. It was the comedian's actual home, after all, so maybe there was someone there when the crew showed up and they weren't able to get out of the way in time. A bit sloppy, but these things happen. Or perhaps, more believably, it was just a staff member. Houses are tiny, cramped spaces to film in, after all, and even with a skeleton crew, you'll still have quite a few people trying to fit into a small space to film. Maybe a staff member was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and was accidentally captured on film. It wouldn't be the first time this has ever happened, and isn't all that odd, particularly for a variety show filmed quickly and on the cheap. Third option, of course, was the belief that they had actually captured a real ghost on film. After all, just look at it. The pale skin, long hair, and big eyes are all common tropes of Japanese ghosts, so what else could it be? These discussions went on for about a week before, as I mentioned earlier, a news outlet from Taiwan picked up the story. Ghostly phenomenon? Astonishment when the female comedian saw a pale face. Having reached international news and being tagged in the tweet, Kintaro, the comedian in question, was forced to address what everyone was talking about. Did she really have a ghost in her house? So, it would seem that I, Kintaro, have become a talking point in the news over in Taiwan, she wrote in her blog. I just happened to come across it. People are saying they saw a pale ghost. I was shocked as well, so I checked the footage right away. But I think it was just a staff member who got caught in the shot. If I remember correctly, there was a male staff member with long hair who was pale like a ghost, haha. Further footage from the program showed that there was a door behind the refrigerator that led to a hall, so with all the evidence on hand, and with word from the comedian herself, it would appear that it really was nothing more than a staff member who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then had people calling him a ghost because of his long hair and pale skin. A bit harsh, but hey, at least he got the show a bit of bonus promo, right? But what do you guys think of this one? Any other famous ghostly sightings on TV come to mind? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. Have you ever seen this video before? It's rather famous, and even I can recall seeing it many, many years ago when I was living in Japan. It was, for a period, rather popular on the Japanese internet, and to this day still doesn't really have an explanation. So, this week, let's take a look at what's really going on here and whether it's possible that what we're looking at was an actual ghost. First things first, the video opens on an Ema, which is a wooden votive tablet you can often find hanging in shrine grounds. People write their wishes on these tablets and then hang them up in special areas where it's believed the kami-sama will receive them and the wish will be granted. On this particular Ema, we can see the words Masahiko, a name, followed by Shine in katakana. The most obvious meaning of this word is die, but the fact that it's written in katakana and not kanji makes it even more unsettling for a lot of people. If we take it at face value, then someone hung up this Ema hoping that Masahiko would die. Ouch. But that's not even the scary part here. As the camera pans over and zooms in on this creepy Ema, a face suddenly appears behind it, looking straight at the camera from a 90-degree angle. The camera immediately drops, films the ground for a few seconds, and when it pans back up, the face is gone. And that's it. That's the clip. It has been played and replayed numerous times over the years on summer ghost specials on Japanese TV, and it instantly became a hit on the Japanese internet as well. You can generally find it by looking for Masahiko Shine or Ema Mekuri, which roughly translates to votive tablet board. It's another popular term you shouldn't search for, but what's the real story behind this viral clip? First, there are a few things that can be determined from the video alone. The first is the location. When the camera pans to the ground, you can see numerous Ema with a unique design on them. This is the design of Meiji Shrine's votive tablets, indicating that this was filmed there. A quick Google search brings up numerous images of the area where these Ema are hung from, and you can see they surround a sacred tree in a closed hexagon shape, exactly the same as we see in the video. So this means that while it is technically possible to get on the other side of these tablets, it would be very difficult to do so, especially during the day at such a large shrine where numerous people would see someone trying to climb in on sacred ground. Because it would be difficult to get on the inside of the tablet hexagon, there was discussion across various bulletin boards that perhaps the person seen in the background wasn't actually a person, but rather a photograph instead. Meaning that someone stood to the side of the camera, stuck their arm through the gaps, and then thrust the photograph of a creepy face in front of the camera at just the right time. This would easily solve the problem, right? You don't need to climb over to get on the inside, and you don't need to walk around the shrine with creepy ghost makeup on either. But if we go through that revealing shot frame by frame, we can see that it's not a photograph because the eyes move. At first, they're looking down, and then they look straight at the camera. The hair appears to move as the face comes in as well, meaning that it's unlikely to be a static photo. The person behind the tablets is moving. So, if it's not a photo, what is it? The most obvious answer, of course, is that it's fake. The quality is not fantastic, which makes hiding imperfections a little easier. But if you watch the sudden appearance in slow motion again, look carefully. These wooden tablets aren't massively large and scale at roughly 10 centimeters or so in length, meaning the face behind it would be roughly the size of a baby's head, maybe a little larger. That's a pretty small ghost. The numerous strings holding the Ema up also seem to blur and fade into the head as it leans in. This could be explained away by the poor quality of the film, but it's also just as likely that this was unavoidable because the footage was doctored. The original footage was made by filming the Ema, featuring the swing down to the ground for a few seconds and then back up again, and then this was taken and edited on someone's computer to include the scary face in the background. This would easily explain the size of the head, the distortion of the strings, and how someone could apparently get on the other side of the tablets as well. Because they didn't. They were edited into the original film. There's also one more damning piece of evidence. The fact that this isn't some random internet video, but rather comes from the Hontou ni atta Noroi no video series, volume 42 to be exact. This volume came out in 2011, and this particular video, or segment, was called Jagan, or Evil Wish. The Hontou ni atta series, of course, is a series that purports to be real videos sent in by viewers, which is true, but naturally they're all fake, and often badly so. People can get money for sending their videos in and getting chosen to be featured, so of course there is incentive to whip something up that looks scary, regardless of how realistic it looks. So this video has been floating around for over a decade now, and thanks to how brief it is, and the nature of the scare, it has been an enduring piece of viral internet history for a while now. It's easy to share with friends. It elicits great reactions on TV shows when aired in summer ghost specials, and it gets people talking on anonymous bulletin boards trying to figure out whether it's real or not. In that sense, the video was extremely successful. But is it a real ghost? Well, that's for you to decide, but it's highly unlikely. But what do you guys think? Have you seen this video before? Do you think that it truly captured a ghost on film, or was it just edited by someone to get that sweet Hontou ni atta money? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. On February 18, 2021, someone posted a thread on Ni Channel titled, "Isn't that a ghost in this official video?" They posted a video called Shiawase no Hana, which is an official tourism video for Sakai City in Fukui Prefecture. I'll leave a link in the comments if you want to watch the video yourself, but the part in question happens around the 1 minute 19 second mark, and it's the picture you can see right here. I'm sure by now you've spotted what they're talking about as well, but just in case, it appears to be someone, or perhaps something, standing behind the man in the red flannel shirt. Was it really a ghost? Well, let's take a look. First things first, this video was uploaded on July 13, 2016 by Sakai City on their official YouTube channel. The video is 7 minutes long and highlights various locations around the city and why Sakai City is such a great place to live and visit. One of those places, and the site where the questionable figure standing behind the man was filmed, is Tojimbo, a series of cliffs facing the Sea of Japan. If you're a Deikan reader, then this site should sound somewhat familiar to you. It's also an infamous ghost spot, where numerous people have taken their own lives over the years, and numerous ghost photos have said to have been taken there. You can find all sorts of stories about how this area is one of the most haunted in all of Japan, and many spirit mediums won't even approach the area because of how dangerous it is. So then, was a spirit accidentally captured in an official capacity as well, and nobody noticed until it was too late? If we look at the footage from this angle, then it appears there are simply some ghostly feet hiding behind the man. But if we look at it from a slightly different angle, then we can see the rest of a person's body as well. Oddly, we can't see their head, but that appears to be because the person is bent over and deliberately hiding. Or are they? Ghosts don't have feet, one person in the thread replied. Maybe this was a reverse of the usual ghosts, with feet but no head. It's gotta be someone who died there, said another. I watched the video and it just looks like someone standing behind him, said yet another. Fukui Prefecture was probably like, hey, if we just leave some shoes right here, people are gonna love it. It's a person. They're even wearing a watch. maybe they're just shy. Ghosts only appear at night. It's just the sound guy. If it's just a person, that's even scarier. Why the hell are they there? Opinions varied on what the figure might be, but in the end, most agreed it was likely just a person. But that still left the question of why? Why was a person standing in such a strange spot and hiding behind someone else during an official government PR video? Was it really just the sound guy? Of course, that's a possibility, but in all the other group shots in the video, many of which are larger than the Tojimbo group, we don't see anyone standing behind the crowd with a microphone or anything of the sort, so it would be odd for it to only happen in this one spot. It's not like the sound used in the video was actually recorded on location either, with the entire video using a large group of people singing that doesn't change regardless of who or what is on the screen. A later, much wider shot of the group on the cliffs shows a lot more people, and we can see the man in red standing at the very left of the group. Not a whole lot can be told from this shot alone, as the group have moved around somewhat and there are far more people than appeared in the original shot to begin with. It's likely that the person who was standing behind the man in red is also in there, but it's hard to tell who. If we look at the original shot, the person standing behind him also appears to be wearing red, but there are also 2 other people in that same shot also wearing red. That would make at least 4 people wearing red, and in the wide shot, we can see at least 5 red shirts, maybe even more. The person, however, seems to be the only person wearing short sleeves, at least in the initial shot, and we can see someone in the drone footage with short sleeves, sitting and waving from the cliff. So, is this the same person? With the addition of so many people to that shot, it's hard to tell. It might be, but it also might not be. It's possible that if it was a staff member, they were simply standing there for safety. The group are standing on cliffs, after all, and it would be terrible PR if someone tripped and fell during filming. But again, as the wide shot shows, nobody is terribly close to the edge, and it's not a sharp drop-off either. It seems odd to have someone standing so close to that man in particular while the shot is being filmed, but not near anyone else. The man on the lower ledge would certainly be in more danger of falling than the man in red. So then, who is it, and why? To this day it remains a mystery, although the video is brought up seemingly every few months as someone once again points out that, hey, there appears to be someone or something standing behind this man in red. What's really going on? This has led to some amusing pictures of people trying to imagine how the person is actually standing behind the man in red, considering the angle of the shot, which just makes the whole situation either funnier or even more terrifying, depending on your point of view. Some have also theorized that maybe it was the man in red's son who was forced to go along but didn't actually want to be on film. Thus he hid at the last second, but again, this is also unconfirmed as well. Either way, it's incredibly unlikely to be a ghost, despite the cliff's reputation as a ghost spot. But even assuming that it's 100% a flesh and blood person, who they might be and why they're standing in such a spot during an official PR video still remains a strange and unanswered question. Comments on the video are turned off, so nobody has ever been able to ask on the video directly, and the city has never commented on the issue either. As it stands, it remains a mystery. Was it simply a staff member who got captured by mistake? Maybe. Was it someone who was supposed to sing along with the rest of the group but then got stage fright and hid right as filming started? Also a possibility. It's hard to believe that someone just stumbled upon the filming location and snuck into the shot, considering again the location on a cliffside and how long it takes to set everything up for filming. But there are still few plausible explanations for what's going on here and why it made it all the way to the final published product. But what do you guys think about this one? Was it truly a ghost at one of Japan's most infamous ghost spots? Or nothing more than a person captured in the wrong place at the wrong time? And if so, who do you think they might have been and why were they there in the first place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and I'll see you again next time. Long-lost commercials are pretty much their own subgenre of internet mysteries all by themselves. Ni Channel especially loves their long-lost commercials, and it seems like every other month someone is posting about a creepy commercial they remember seeing from their childhood and wondering if anyone has footage of it today. Perhaps the most infamous is the White Shadows commercial, which I've covered on this channel before and still remains undiscovered today, if it ever even existed. Many of these long-lost commercials remain just that, but every now and then, someone finally digs an old tape out of the woodwork and finds what everyone is looking for. Well, this week's video is special because it would appear that yet another long-lost commercial has finally been found. First, some background. We have to go all the way back to Christmas Day, 2000, for one of the earliest times this commercial was mentioned on Ni Channel. On December 25th, a user posted the following in a thread about scary commercials. For me, it was the commercial for a Famicom game called Yokai Club about 15 years ago, and I think there was some commercial that used Joururi to prevent catch sales that was really scary. There was a stagehand dressed in black, manipulating a doll with a white face or something, going, "Come here, come here." Then a guy like a customer stumbled forward and she kept going, "Come here, come here." He got closer and then, "Come even closer, even closer." When he couldn't get any closer, suddenly the doll's eyes flung wide open and its mouth cut into a wide grin. The man screamed, and then some text appeared saying, "Be careful not to follow any catch sales." I think it was something like that. It was so scary that even now I can't watch Joururi performances. Has anybody else seen this commercial? There's quite a bit to break down here, so let's take a look. First, Joururi is a type of performance that uses traditional Japanese dolls with white faces. It focuses on telling a story to the accompaniment of music, and these dolls are manipulated by the storyteller. Second, the phrase catch sales doesn't translate so well into English, but basically it involves aggressive soliciting of people on the street and then forcing them to sign a contract for something outrageously expensive, and then making the victim keep it a secret from their family. This was a scam that was particularly common during the 90s, but it's still around even today. So, this person was remembering a commercial that used a doll common in Joururi performances to warn people against getting caught in catch sales scams. The doll summoned a victim to get closer and closer, and then finally, when they couldn't go any further, the doll's face turned into something terrifying, and the man screamed. The user posted this comment in 2000, meaning it likely came from the 80s or 90s. A few years later, another user posted the following in a thread about scary TV shows and commercials. I don't remember what it was for, but there was a Japanese doll beckoning with its hand and going, "Come here, come here." Then its face twisted into like a Hanya mask. I think it aired around the start of the Heisei era. Does anyone know of it? The Heisei era started in 1989, so again, this would have placed it around the 90s. A year later, another person posted about the same commercial, to which someone replied they had seen that same one roughly 15 years earlier. Again, this would place it around the start of the 90s. Over and over again, people were posting about this commercial featuring a creepy doll that says, "Come here, come here," and they all seem to remember it from the early 90s. At the very least, it seemed that this commercial did exist. Too many people agreed upon the finer details that it's unlikely they were all making it up. It's possible, of course, but for so many people to bring up the same doll saying the same thing over so many years, well, chances were high that it was because they really did remember it. Over the years, more and more people chimed in, claiming that they remembered this commercial, but nobody could find it. The doll and what she said never changed, but as is common with these old commercials, everyone seemed to remember it just a little differently. Some people remembered a man following a doll before her face suddenly changed into something horrifying. Some remembered only the doll. The phrase at the end also changed depending on who remembered it. This is to be expected. If it really did air in the early 90s, when most of these people were likely just kids, then it's hard to remember exactly what catchphrase a commercial ended with. At any rate, they all agreed that the commercial was warning against getting swindled while walking around town. But who made the commercial and why? Was it real, or was everyone collectively adding onto a memory that didn't actually exist? By 2013, a few more details started to emerge. Someone remembered seeing the Joururi commercial, as it had come to be known, while watching a program called Super TV in 1992. It was a commercial that aired in the Tokyo area, where this type of scam was most likely to happen. It was also around this time that a search for the commercial kicked into high gear. More and more people were uploading old and creepy commercials on the internet, so maybe it was hiding in a compilation somewhere. Or maybe someone had it on a VHS at home that they hadn't converted yet. Numerous similar commercials were dug up, either featuring creepy dolls or the phrase, "Come here, come here." But none of them matched the Joururi commercial as most people remembered it. Well, as luck would have it, on January 28th this year, someone uploaded a video to a website dedicated to finding lost commercials. It was titled 1992, Tokyo, Joururi. That could only mean one thing. That's right, the commercial was found, and you can watch it right here.
誘い言葉が売り言葉。怖い話に変わります。電話やハガキによる呼び出しに注意しましょう。
Well over 2 decades after it was first posted on Ni Channel, and 3 decades after it actually aired on TV, the lost Joururi commercial was finally found. And, surprisingly, it matched almost word for word what a lot of people remembered. It featured a performer in black manipulating a doll with a white face, beckoning with her hand and saying, "Come here, come here." A male voice narrates over the top, warning not to get taken in by sweet words, otherwise something terrifying might happen, at which point the doll's face changes into something terrifying, with wide eyes and sharp teeth, much like a Hanya mask. It then ends with text warning people not to get caught up in appointment sales, and mentions Tokyo Metropolis underneath. And with that, a 2-decade-long mystery was finally solved. It's not the only commercial to have been dug up long after the fact, and it probably won't be the last either. Does that mean that somewhere the White Shadows commercial is still in hiding, waiting for its day in the light? We may never know, but once again, the Joururi commercial is proof that not everything on Ni Channel is a lie, nor is it always a shared delusion. Sure, most of the time it's just made up, but once in a while, a mystery finally gets solved and proven to be true, as we can see right here. But what do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time. Scary commercials are perhaps one of the most pervasive, common, and enjoyed genres of internet mysteries in Japan. We've already covered several of these mystery commercials on this channel before, and this week we're going to take a look at yet another one, the mysterious AC commercial. What makes this commercial so mysterious? Well, let's take a look.
公共広告機構です。
Speaks for itself, really. So what's the truth behind this creepy commercial? Well, let's take a look. It begins as a fairly standard ad for Vermont curry from the early 2000s. But then, after the first 5 seconds, the screen cuts to black with some white noise before a horrifying face appears. This face seems to be laughing with blood or some other dark liquid pouring down its cheeks. Then it cuts to black again, before some more close-ups, and then it ends with the normal AC credits. AC stands for Advertising Council Japan. But did they really release such a terrifying commercial onto the airwaves? If so, why? Well, unlike other commercials we've looked at on this channel, this one actually isn't too hard to track down. Yep, this commercial is completely fake. At least, the part at the end is, anyway. Of course, the opening is an actual commercial from the early 2000s, but the part where it cuts to black and the horrifying face appears was simply an internet edit. The earliest this commercial can be found online is from a Nico video channel that was uploaded on, surprise surprise, April 1st, 2014. This channel only has 2 uploads, both mystery commercials that were uploaded on or just before April Fools. That's pretty much the end of the story right there. Someone made the commercial for fun, uploaded it on April Fools, and then, as the internet is wont to do, people started sharing it and mistaking it as an actual commercial that was dug up from the early 2000s. People wanted to know where it was from, and how something so scary was aired. Was it a broadcast accident? Someone messing around late at night? A real commercial that slipped through the cracks? Well, no, it was just a video someone made on the internet. But again, it goes to show how easily something can spread and be taken at face value. AC Mysterious CM even became another infamous term you shouldn't search for, but tracking down the various elements of this particular commercial actually isn't that hard. Let's take a look. With just a little more digging, we can find the source of the creepy image used at the end of the commercial. A reverse image search brings up a blog entry that was posted on November 11, 2009, that appears to be one of the earliest instances, if not the very first time this image ever appeared on the internet. The blog is a collection of creepy edits that no longer exists but still can be viewed via the Wayback Machine, and we can see the exact image used in the mysterious commercial right here. But that's not all. The ending AC logo also comes from another commercial that really does exist, and to be honest, is perhaps even creepier than this one. This commercial, called Disappearing Sand Statue, features 2 figures sitting on a beach under an umbrella, whilst text tells us about global warming. The sand statue collapses as the text tells us that it's not just beaches that will disappear. The final AC logo then appears with some text above it that says, "Let's start for tomorrow right now." These logos are uniquely tailored for the commercials they appear with, and it's this exact logo and message that appears at the end of the mysterious curry commercial. Why would that same message appear at the end of a curry commercial as well? Well, it wouldn't. It was just taken from this already creepy ad and then slapped onto the end of another one to create something new. Even the start of the commercial, which comes from a real ad that aired during the 2002 to 2004 period, starring Kane Kosugi, is only the end of a much longer commercial that can still be found quite easily on the internet today. And no, it doesn't end with a creepy face. That ad simply ends as you would expect, with the display of the curry box. Meaning, this creepy commercial has actually been debunked for quite some time now, but because people continue to share it, it still lives on in popularity today. It remains a great example of how easy it is to make a viral video that will be shared without discretion, but also how easy it is to debunk something with just a little digging and some basic internet tools at your fingertips. But what do you guys think of this one? Are there any other creepy commercials like this that you've seen before? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you again next time. For this week's mystery, we're going back over a decade to 2011. I just made myself feel old saying that. At any rate, on October 17th, 2011, an interesting thread was posted on Ni Channel. Titled, "A mysterious woman's face on the live broadcast of Yabecchi FC has become a hot topic." The thread included a link to a now deleted YouTube video highlighting the moment in question. The video itself was posted on July 24th, 2011, the same night the episode aired. For those unaware, Yabecchi FC was a live sports program that aired from 2002 to 2020 on TV Asahi and featured news, interviews with players, and other such segments. The July 24th episode in question featured members of Nadeshiko Japan, the women's national soccer team, and the incident that became a hot topic happened during a question and answers corner. The corner allowed people to submit questions they really wanted to ask the guests, and in this case, someone had a question for Maruyama Karina. Well, kind of. You're always dancing to AKB, but today, can you do a dance while wearing one of their outfits? Being the good sport she is, Maruyama put the outfit on and then shyly walked back to the main stage. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this show aired live, and while Maruyama walked back after getting changed, viewers noted something strange in the bottom right corner. You can see it for yourself right here. That's right, a pale, ghostly face. Blink and you'll miss it, but it's there, plain as day. Of course, opinions were divided on whether it was a real ghost or just a staff member. I mean, it's always a staff member, but there's no denying that either way, it's kinda creepy, and no doubt even more so if you were watching it live. And it doesn't become less creepy in cap form either, as many in the thread spouted when someone happily capped the moment in question for them. It's just a pale person. A shy girl who withdrew when she realized she was on camera. This can't be the AD. The shape of the face is too strange. This is unexpectedly actually scary. Now, this would be real interesting if there were no staff members who looked like that. That's undoubtedly the real deal. No joking, that's an evil spirit. It's just Matayoshi. It was actually this. All jokes aside, who or what was it? Well, that's the mystery, isn't it? The face was never addressed, but ultimately, a staff member is the likeliest answer. If you watch the footage slightly before the face appears, you can see another staff member's arm in the shot as the camera cuts to Maruyama, as well as another camera moving at the bottom of the frame. There are quite obviously numerous staff members in that area, and the show was being filmed live. Things happen and get caught on camera all the time because there's no time to edit them out. It's immediately after the camera at the bottom of the shot rolls by that the face appears and then, suddenly, withdraws. The show then immediately cuts to a closer angle to focus on Maruyama's face, and that's that. It's never addressed, and, to be fair, there's no reason for it to be. Neither the arm nor the face that followed are the first staff members to have been caught on camera during a live show, and they're not even the first to have appeared on this particular series before. But for people watching live, it sure was an odd moment where more than a few people did a double take, and then flocked to the internet to discuss it. Staff member or not, the person really is white as a ghost, and that's what got people fired up. How can we explain that? Bad lighting, pale skin, a combination of these and other factors. Who knows? They wouldn't be the first staff member to be described as looking pale as a ghost before, but they probably didn't expect to appear on national TV and become a hot topic of discussion on the internet either. But what do you guys think? Staff member caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, or a real ghost? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you again next time. If you're a fan of the Internet Mysteries series, then you're no doubt aware of how much Japan loves lost, creepy, or just plain weird commercials. They're practically a genre all unto themselves. And this week, we're taking a look at yet another one that has often done the rounds of Ni Channel. This time around, we have the actual commercial, and it has never really been lost. But it's the contents of the commercial that people have questioned over the years, with some claiming there are hidden images or perhaps something subliminal hidden within it. How true is that though? Let's take a look. We have to go back quite some time to uncover when this commercial first started making the rounds on Ni Channel. In a post made on September 5th, 2001, someone posted the following. This is a copy-paste from a certain board, but I can't get it out of my mind. Have you ever felt uncomfortable while watching TV recently? The other day, I was watching this commercial when I was overcome with violent chills and nausea. It was like something was on the screen, but I was too scared to look at it directly. Is there anyone else who has felt the same way? Oh, by the way, this commercial was of a 4-wheel drive running through the mountains from a particular car maker. As we can see, even in 2001, which is the earliest evidence anyone has been able to dig up online so far, this story was already a copy-paste. And since then, it has been shared numerous times, and the story grown to include different aspects. For example, another post from October 27th, 2010, almost a decade later, said the following. There was a car commercial that looked completely normal at a glance, but there was this really creepy scene in it. You couldn't see anything, but if you slowed it down, then there was a face hidden, like something subliminal. Has anyone else seen it? I think it was a Japanese car commercial from around 2001. And there were deer in it too. Again, we have a car commercial from the early 2000s, but now the legend has grown a little. Now it's not just a perfectly normal commercial that feels a little off-putting and too scary to watch, but there was an actual face hidden in it that you could only spot if you slowed the commercial down. And there was even more information on the commercial itself, mentioning that it featured some deer. Again and again, the commercial popped up in scary commercial threads, and the general consensus was that it featured a 4-wheel drive driving through the mountains, there were deer somewhere in the ad, and it was particularly creepy. Now, what made it creepy differed depending on the person. Some claimed images were hidden subliminally in it. Others claimed that just watching it was enough to make you sick, although it would be unclear why because the commercial itself seemed perfectly normal. Some even claimed you could spot a dead body hidden in the commercial if you slowed it down to watch frame by frame. But was any of this true? Or was it just yet another urban legend created on Ni Channel? Well, as I stated at the start of the video, this commercial really does exist, and that part isn't the mystery. The details were specific enough that people figured out that they were talking about the Toyota Prado commercial from 1999. It takes place in the mountains, features deer, and it's not too hard to see why people thought it was a little creepy as well. I'll play it for you here, but it's without sound because it uses copyrighted music. It's the images that are important for this mystery anyway, although they are from more than 2 decades ago, so sadly, the quality is not the best. Now, for most people, it's the start of this commercial that pulls them up, particularly around the 3 to 6 second mark where the camera zooms out on the car about to kick into action, then quickly cuts back and forth between the hand shifting gears and the outside of the car. This is the part that numerous people claimed either hid a face, a dead body, or something else subliminal that you weren't supposed to actually realize was there. Keep in mind, this legend came about in the early 2000s. It wasn't quite as easy back then for anyone to just grab a commercial from TV and then scroll through it frame by frame. Possible, sure, but for most people, that would involve recording the commercial on VHS, then pausing and unpausing constantly to advance through it as slow as possible, trying to spot something, anything, on already terrible quality. Not really the ideal way to try to see something supposedly hidden between frames. And few regular people would have had the technology to convert this recording to a video file to analyze on PC. The times sure have changed. At any rate, we now do have that technology, and you can skip through the ad yourself frame by frame if you want to analyze it. I've done this, and personally can't find any hidden images anywhere in the 30-second ad, and to date, nobody else has been able to highlight a single frame where a face, dead body, or anything else like that appears either. That being said, it's not hard to see how the legend came about. The first 10 seconds or so of the commercial feature numerous quick cuts, disorienting angles, and even flashes of white light. If you were watching this on TV back in the late 90s or early 2000s, it wouldn't be that far of a jump to think, well, this isn't very pleasant to watch. Wait, was there something hidden in all those quick cuts? The legend has persisted over the years because, well, that's what most internet mysteries do, even when they're technically solved. Often the answer isn't the intriguing part, as evidenced by all of us here discussing this well over 20 years after it first appeared on the internet. It's also a neat dive into a particular part of internet history that we may or may not have otherwise seen with our own eyes. Most of Ni Channel is often lost to the ages, yes, but it's the copy-pastes that keep many things like this alive long after the fact. But what do you guys think of this one? After the commercial and maybe even going through it frame by frame yourself, do you think they were onto something? Or was it just a product of its time? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.